What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Joystick Ayrton. I originally made this video with the idea of talking mostly about the ROG Ally X and all the things that we know about it, the pre-order and so on, the rumors about the Lenovo Legion Go Lite, and then I saw how many more handhelds are coming from Zotac, from Antec, and there's just a lot going on, and oversaturation in my opinion, so let's talk about it. Okay, so I hope all of you are doing awesome out there. We finally hit 1,000 subscribers, so I cannot thank you any more than that, and I just want to continue to build this channel up. And with that being said, Computex just happened, and a bunch of news has rolled out. We had ROG Ally X news. We have rumors of Lenovo Legion Go Lights, or Legion Lights, Light Legion Goes, who really knows? Antec in the handheld market, Zotac. I just got this GPD Win Mini. There's just the handheld market is just incredibly oversaturated, and this was originally supposed to be all about the ROG Ally X, kind of talking about the details of it, the pre-orders, my opinions on it, and that was kind of it. And then I sat down and I was editing the video and I realized, like, the state of handheld gaming just changed, like, incredibly. You have the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus thing, and it's incredible. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk ROG Ally X, Lenovo Legion Go Lite concept. We're going to talk a little bit about Antec and exactly what's going on with them. And then we're going to talk about Zotac. We're going to talk about the Win Mini. We're going to talk about just the overarching oversaturation of the market, in my opinion. So with that being said, I want to start off with all of the ones we know and love with Lenovo. I guess not loving with Asus, and we'll go from there. Okay, so handheld gaming has been a thing for quite some time. You had Game Boys, Game Boy Advances, you had PSPs, PSP Vitas. We had the GPD devices in early 2020. We had the Steam Deck really being kind of the mainstream one, at least in the PC side of things, that kind of took everybody by storm. And now corporations are just throwing things at the wall trying to get them to stick. I mean, MSI has literally taken the bucket and dumped it all out and been like, hey guys, sort through this and try to figure out what can be a handheld. And it's oversaturating the market in a sense that I think it's actually bad for the market. I think it's going to bring the market kind of crawling down to its knees for everybody but a couple manufacturers. The Claw just failed. So they have the Claw 8 now coming out. But I think some manufacturers like GPD is going to be just fine because they have this unique fan base that loves the fact that they have these just super interesting concepts and designs that nobody else has. The Win Max 2, awesome device. The Win Mini, awesome device. The GPD Win 4, the best PSP-like device. So they're going to be okay because they're really supported by a tight-knit group of fans. Then you have Asus that arguably between them and Lenovo have made the two best Windows-based handhelds. Then you have the Steam Deck that is just incredible, and the next reissue of that in the next couple of years being a Steam Deck 2 should completely change the entire landscape of the market again. With that being said, the ROG Ally X is now doing very much what Steam did with the Deck OLED. This is not an upgrade to an Ally 2. This is a bilateral move to a much better device. But how much better is all up to what you think your pocketbook is worth. You have an ROG Ally X with double the battery capacity, so you might be able to, on performance mode of 15 watts, get 3 hours of gameplay. That might be awesome. You might not care about that. Ergonomics have changed slightly. You might not be able to stand their warranty claims and all of those things. Those might not matter to you. So when it comes to the ROG Ally X, what I think is important is if you already have an ROG Ally, unless you don't care about the money, I don't think it's worth it unless you think the battery life is the albeit most important thing to you. For the most part, everything else is pretty darn close to the same. A little bit different characteristics because they had to find some space to shove all of that in, a little bit heavier, so on and so forth. But for the most part, if you already have an ROG Ally, it's probably not worth that bilateral movement. If you do not have a Windows-based device, the ROG Ally X is awesome. I mean, if you're not looking at sales or looking at saving $1, the Ally X or the Legion Go, you're kind of picking between 3 hours of battery life or a really big screen, and that's kind of up to you. But then again, you got to think, you might be able to get a Legion Go really cheap or a normal Ally for really cheap as well. And keep an eye on the Claw for being $4.99 at the local McDonald's because that thing has died. So I think there's a couple different places where it falls in, but I think it's just like a Deck OLED. I personally wouldn't upgrade to a Deck OLED. if I didn't have a Steam Deck. I know it is better than the Steam Deck, but I don't see that cost difference really working out for it. Now let's talk about Lenovo, because I think they have a really good opportunity to do something unique, just like they did with the Legion Go, but I think they're going to fumble the ball and they're going to ruin it. Okay, so for me personally, I'm always looking for something unique, something that's just different than what everybody else has. I have a Height Y60 custom water-cooled PC, and I just wanted it to be different. That's why I went with a case that had a curved edge that just looked just unique. The Win Mini, that's another reason I wanted the Win Mini. That's exactly why I wanted the Legion Go. Look at this giant Windows tablet with these Joy-Cons slapped on the side of it. I can play FPS games, RTS games. I can do so many different things with it. Now Lenovo is rumored to be releasing a Lenovo Legion Go Lite, or a Legion Lite, Legion Go Lite, Lite Legion Go, who knows. But it's talking about having a 7-inch screen possibly, not confirmed, but having a candy bar style with non-detachable sticks. What that could mean. If this is just your standard 7-inch candy bar style Legion Go, I have zero interest in it. They're probably going to try to pack in a fairly decently sized battery, but at that point, why do I want, I just don't see the market for the same thing that the Ally has. Why are you copying it over and over again? The Claw, the Zotac device of the Zone. We're doing the same thing over and over again. There's no ingenuity, there's no progress here. It's the same thing. There's 19 different handhelds you can probably list that all have pretty much the same candy bar style, pretty close to the same battery, pretty much the same screen, and running the exact same APU. Why should I buy yours? Everybody's just throwing the kitchen sink out of it. Now, I understand Lenovo thinking, hey, this is a really big, really heavy device. There are people that are not in the market for this device, and that is okay. That is a reality check, possibly, depending on what their sales are, although I know they're doing extremely well overseas. This is their opportunity. Do something small. A 5.6, a 6-inch screen, extremely compact, like a Win Mini, like a GPD Win 4. I understand they're not going to make something that's a clamshell, or probably something with a slide-up keyboard, but do something unique. I don't want to see the 7-inch, them knowing Lenovo, it being a portrait display, having no VRR, and then it's just the candy bar style device running on the Legion space that is still a giant piece of junk. So hopefully Lenovo gets it together and that's not what they do. I think that's what they will do. It'll be a standard 7-inch candy bar, which I think will flop and will be super disappointing in my opinion. I hope they do something unique. A 6-inch GPD Win-like device would be awesome. I would love it. I'd lose my mind. So with that being said, let's talk about Antec and their Flip KB. Okay, so now let's talk about Antec. Maybe you've never heard of them, but at one point in time, they led the manufacturing of most cases in the industry for custom-built PCs. My first case was a hand-me-down Antec. Awesome case. And now they've kind of revitalized themselves. They've come back to life. They've pushed out a bunch of new cases at Computex, and there's a lot going on with them. And then they also hand over Steve at Gamers Nexus what appears to be an Ioneo slide, but with Antec logos on it. So it's really confusing. Nobody's really quite sure what is going on. I would argue that Antec has a far better marketplace atmosphere and they can get it out to more customers. It can probably be far easier as their distribution is probably far greater, as you can walk into Micro Center, grab an Antec case. You can go to Newegg, get an Antec case. Those are easy, reliable sources where you don't have to go through Indiegogo or AliExpress. So it's really interesting. I'm not quite sure what exactly is going on. The Ioneo slide has been sent to reviewers like Fan the Deck and several others, and it's one that I was considering getting, but I ultimately went with the Win Mini. So what's going to happen? There's 7840Us in that. They're pretty close to Z1 Extremes. It's kind of like a slightly different version or unique version of the GPD Win 4. I had the Win 4 and loved it. Would it be any better? I'm not quite sure. Who's running the software on it? Is that going to be Ioneo Space 2, I think is what is on those devices? Is Antec going to be involved in it? Is Antec really just slapping their logo on it? What is going on? So I'm going to try and send out a couple emails and see what I can find out and what more details I can get with that. But with that being said, we're going to move on and talk about Zotac. Okay, so much like Antec, if you're not in the custom building PCs or you haven't been in that space very long, Zotac typically makes graphics cards for NVIDIA. So they might have a 3080 or a 2080 or a 4080, something along those lines that you can go into Micro Center or Newegg, pick up that graphics card and throw it in. But now they're putting their hand in the handheld space. It was just a concept design. It was an engineer sample, so to speak, at Computex, and it looked interesting. It really did. They have dials around the joysticks. They're Hall Effects joysticks, which is awesome. Those dials, assuming Zotac can have any kind of button mapping software that's half decent, you should be able to do all kinds of different things with those, which I can, honestly, like playing F1 2023 or 24 or something, that could be really cool in a handheld. The D-pad looks super interesting. I'm not quite sure what to think about that unless I was actually playing it. Trackpads in Windows are weird. This trackpad on the Legion Go can only be used as a mouse cursor. What exactly are they going to do with both of those? They're not going to perform nearly as good as like the Steam Deck being inside of SteamOS and inside of Linux and so on. So that's, yeah. Where they kind of lose you at is they only have a 48-hour watt battery. It's a portrait display. It's not VRR. It's a very bright AMOLED display, which is nice, but no VRR, and portrait just kind of throws half of that away. I like the kickstand in the back. I like the buttons in the back. I love the overall aesthetic and look of it. I like all the extra buttons, start, select, and so on. But again, it's a candy bar style 7-inch screen. Looks a whole lot like a slightly modified version of an ROG Ally. Yes, you get a couple trackpads that seem to be pretty low on the device. How is it going to perform? It will have an 8840U in it, so it's going to play pretty much like a Legion Go with a little bit brighter screen. I just can't imagine it succeeding, much like the Antec device, where I think they will actually boost sales for Aya Neo with the slide because they can get to a broader user base that might try out a new unique device like that. Zotac, unless that device is inside of Best Buys and Micro Centers, I don't think people are going to be taking the risk on that. The amount of backers that you have for like a GPD Win Mini, Win Max 2, Win 4, extremely, extremely small amount of people compared to the sales on the ROG Ally, the Legion Go, way, 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 way down there compared to like the Steam Deck. And I can't imagine Zotac selling through the roof, but maybe they do better in other countries. You never know. I'm not expecting good things for that. So now we have one more handheld I want to talk about before my kind of conclusion on all of this, and that would be the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus thing disaster. So I'm actually working on 2 other videos kind of coinciding with this part. One is a GPD Win Mini review. The other one is the MSI Claw has died. We're only 3 months on now, and we're getting information about a new claw that's probably coming out in the fall, the MSI Claw 8 AI. I absolutely hate every single company slapping AI on everything. It's the most absurd thing on the planet. But MSI 8 basically just means that it's an 8-inch screen. It's the candy bar size, but an 8-inch screen. Now, to be completely honest with you, I have always thought an 8-inch screen would be about the perfect size. The Legion Go is big, it's bulky, you can kind of feel it. The GPD Win Mini, I kind of feel like if it was just a little bit bigger with a little bit bigger screen, it might be a little nicer, but then you're splitting hairs with like what the Win Max 2 does, so I can understand that. The Steam Deck now has a 7.4, I believe, with the OLED, but I feel like 8 would be really nice, but it's already a big device, is that. So exactly how does the Claw do that? That'll be the interesting part of that. They're throwing an 8-hour or an 80 watt hour battery on there to kind of fight the ROG Ally X, and with the new Lunar Lake stuff coming from Intel, it's possible it's not a gigantic piece of garbage. But I'm not actually as concerned with it being a piece of garbage as, man, if you bought the Claw and they tell you about new hardware 3 months after you bought that thing, it's just like, damn, you sold me a bag of potato chips with like half of them gone, and now in 4 more months there's going to be like a brand new bag. It just seems really scummy, and like they're not going to support it, which is what we were afraid of from Lenovo, which, to be completely honest with you, Lenovo with the Legion Go, most of that stuff has been coming from the community. And then if you look at Asus, at least Asus has put some effort into Armory Crate. So there's parts and pieces of Asus that's actually a good, genuinely caring company. And then there's parts of them that just shoot themselves in the foot over and over and over again. So the Claw, I think hardware-wise, that's going to be super interesting with the Claw 8. The AI thing is irrelevant. Don't think about it. But I think it's going to be interesting hardware-wise and performance-wise. Unfortunately, very scummy. Why'd you even bother putting that first one out? So with that being said, let's wrap all of this up. There are so many options to choose from, and to be completely honest with you, there's really only 3 that you should ever consider, but the market is flooded with them. If you're somebody willing to take a risk, you might get a unit that doesn't work right, or some bugs you got to work out, or errors that you might not be able to figure out. Backing something on Indiegogo or getting it through AliExpress, like the Win Mini, or like an IMNEO slide, or Flip KB, or any of those devices, a lot of them are awesome. They're good devices. Like GPD will work with you if you have an issue, and they'll try to do everything they can for you within your warranty period and things of that nature. I have had really good luck with them, which is why I got a Win Mini over the other things that were catching my eye. I'm a unique case scenario. I wanted a clamshell device that was extremely small because I travel so freaking much. The Legion Go is just giant, and I didn't really want to be throwing it in my bag. Same with the Steam Deck. Me personally, I don't have a reason for 2 Windows-based handhelds, so the Legion Go is just sitting around doing nothing, and will I keep it? I'm not really sure. I might get another Steam Deck. A Deck OLED sounds awesome. I love the console-based experience, and you can just do things on a Steam Deck you can't do on anything else, and that sounds like something I think I'd actually genuinely enjoy having around the house. So Legion Go probably goes, Steam Deck OLED comes. I'm not really sure, but if I was talking to any of you, maybe you already have a handheld, maybe you don't, you're either going to be considering a Legion Go, an ROG Ally, whether it's the X or the normal, or a Steam Deck. If you take a gamble on this, you're hit or miss depending on what's going on, even though I think this thing's awesome and I would recommend it anytime to anybody. But we'll talk about that in the full review. But I think the Zotac is going to fail. The Antec thing, I don't think it's really going to change the market very much, because I just think that might be a marketing ploy with trying to be able to distribute more, distribution centers, things of that nature, get a wider audience for IMNEO. That'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. The Claw will be interesting, but I think it'll fall shallow again of the AMD-based hardware. It's just, even with the performance gain coming for Intel, I don't think they're going to keep up with what AMD currently has, and there has to be something in the pipe for AMD to keep this pumping down the road. And there's just so many that you cannot stop thinking. I really hope Xbox throws something in the game. At this point, the market is oversaturated. I don't think it helps the market when there's so many of these that I think are going to flop, like the Zotac, like the Claw, probably the Flip from IMNEO and Antec's horror deal. But an Xbox One would be super interesting. Who knows what that would allow you to do. I want a successor to the PSP. Give me a PSP 3. I would lose my mind if I could natively play PS5 games on the go. I would absolutely love that. So I think oversaturating the market and having so many handhelds from so many different places can be great. Having a PSP one, having an Xbox One, I think those are things that uplift the market, because they'll do things inside of their own space that might bring in more people. But another 7-inch candy bar that flops because nobody's really going to buy the Zotac over the Asus or over the Steam Deck, or Antec having its issues, or the Claw having another flop in 3 months from now. It's just oversaturating the market with all of this trash that's just getting recycled and recycled and recycled, and I don't think it helps anybody. But let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on that in the comment section down below. Would you consider Antec, Zotac, GPD, IMNEO, or would you stick with Valve and Asus and Lenovo? What are your opinions on that? So let me know that in the comment section down below, because I can kind of steer videos in the direction of that. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought about that, Computex, and all of the other things in the PC gaming and handheld space. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I am so grateful we got to 1,000 subscribers. I want to keep building this together and hopefully eventually get into more of an office space and make this content a lot better for you. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next one.